Okay, so got it. And we'll get right to it if everybody's ready. So welcome. This is the You've Got Options when it comes to baby sleep, and they don't involve crying. My guess is you're currently very tired and really trying to figure out what the heck you need to do to get more sleep for your baby. But you're learning about, first of all, there's tons of information out there that you're learning about and thinking, I'm not sure this is what I want to do, or I want to do this, but I'm not sure it's a good idea. So hopefully after today, you'll get more clarity about what feels best for you. Here's what we're going to be covering in the order that we'll be covering it. A little bit about us so that you know who's talking to you. We are going to cover what we're offering. Just very quickly get it out of the way in the beginning, just in case you do want to join our course. Then I'll explain sleep training, the most common sleep training methods, what you need to know about self-soothing, the different pros and cons of different sleep solutions, the number one predictor of how your child will turn out. We all want our kids to turn out the best they could possibly be. That's probably why you're here in the first place. And also how I help families get sleep without sleep training. Then we'll do a Q&A to answer any questions that you have. Before we get into it, very quickly, just a couple notes. The information that we share is for educational and marketing purposes only and should not be taken as individual or medical advice. If you need individual or medical advice, it's best to get to seek out your local providers or reach out for one-to-one support. Welcome. I'm Valerie. That's me in the picture. I'll be talking to you today and leading you through what you would like to learn. So just in case we haven't met, I'm going to be your sleep guide. I am a registered social worker specialized in psychotherapy and specifically in infant and child mental health. So before I even started helping families with sleep, I became a registered social worker and more specifically child and family therapist. I really enjoyed working with parents and very young children and babies on social and emotional and behavioral challenges. I really, and even parenting and just lots of things that were necessary for their day-to-day life. So when I became pregnant with my first little one in 2018, he's a little bit over 3 now, I thought that I was going into this baby parenting thing super prepared and very ready. I felt like pregnancy was more new for me. So I spent my entire pregnancy just focusing on pregnancy and birth versus what's going to happen afterwards. I very quickly realized that things weren't going to be as easy as I thought. I really struggled with my first baby, just feeling really anxious, really lost, really confused. I was reading and listening about sleep training. Everybody around me were doing sleep training or telling me about it. YouTube, Google, you name it. Every single place I went, it just seemed like everybody was sleep training. And when I was trying to implement some of these suggestions, it just wouldn't feel right. And other suggestions really felt like they were conflicting with everything I learned in my training and qualifications about just how infants and toddlers' brains develop, how healthy relationships develop. And I just was in this constant conflict, feeling like I can't really trust what I'm feeling and experiencing, but what I need to be doing doesn't feel right either. And even though I was a professional, I was so confused and I was ready to do anything because I was so exhausted, even if it felt really, really bad. So we might have guessed that through searching and trying to solve my own baby's sleep challenges, and I don't think I got more than like a 3-hour stretch in the first year. It was really bad. I finally found the Baby Led Sleep approach and became certified in this sleep approach, which is a sleep without sleep training approach. I will tell you more about it in a little bit. And since then, I expanded my therapy practice to help families with baby and toddler sleep. And I've helped hundreds of families now. So even if I had a little bit of doubts when I was helping my baby sleep, I have no doubt whatsoever now that it's absolutely unnecessary to use anything that you feel uncomfortable with. It's just not necessary, and there are effective solutions that can get you to your goals without sacrificing what you feel is important to you. Since then, I've become a mom of two, and I had another little baby in April, and he's about 5 months now. And my experience has been a world of a difference this time in terms of managing his sleep, getting sleep, how I feel every day when it's nap time or when it's bedtime has been completely transformed. I believe through getting this knowledge, some of which I'll share with you today, some of which I'll share with you in our next workshop on October 5th. I hope you registered. So let's get to it. Let me know if you have any questions, even about my journey or anything else, or any comments. You're welcome to let us know in the chat. I do see the comments, so you're welcome to comment there. Okay, so enough about me. Talking sleep. I've came up with talking sleep to help other parents that need sleep but compromise, but don't want to compromise what they feel is best for your baby. And what's best for one baby is not the same as what's best for another baby. One thing that you will hear me say throughout this presentation, throughout anything that I talk about, is every baby and every family is different, and therefore the way we support sleep should be different for every baby and family. Okay, so let's get to why we're here and some meanings, some words and their meanings. The other day, someone in my Instagram said, why do people get so repulsed? Why do some people get so repulsed when they're hearing sleep training, whereas other people say sleep training and as if it's a good thing? So that's because everybody has different definitions when they're saying sleep training. So we're going to cover definitions first so that we're all on the same page. Saber said we used their crib for laundry for the first six of the last 9 months. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and some Laura also transitioning to crib. Okay, so cry it out, probably what you came here to avoid. And most people do feel like most people feel like that's probably not the best solution for them, but just so that we're all on the same page. It is a type of a sleep training method. So sometimes when somebody says sleep training, what they're referring to is cry it out. Sometimes they refer to the other methods that I'm going to talk to you about. But it is one of the methods, and it's kind of the most extreme of them all in many ways. It's based entirely on the parents' lead and the parents' needs for sleep, without any consideration for the baby's needs or the baby's internal world or development. Basically, there is no comfort given to the baby. They're placed in their crib. It makes my heart turn, my stomach turn, even explaining it to you. But putting the baby in the crib at 7 p.m., not returning until the morning at 7 a.m., no matter like how sick they get or how they sound or what you feel in your heart that you need to do. I don't recommend it no matter what. Even if you choose to sleep train, do not use cry it out. If you have used cry it out, I will mention it. Let me know actually if there's anyone here who have used cry it out or tried sleep training, and I'll address that for you. Oh, my chat. Natalie, this particular presentation is focused on 0 to 12 months. Okay, so yeah, Stephanie, okay, with your 4-year-old now and regretted it. Yeah, so I just want you to know, Stephanie and anyone else who did, that I say to parents all the time that end up finding me after trying it or after doing it with their first and then realizing they want something else, is that it's never ever too late to try something else and to turn things around. So attachment and relationships and your child, it's an evolving thing. And whenever you chose to kind of turn it around and try other things, that's already you making steps towards kind of recovering from it and moving forward. So it's really just about making choices over and over again to be responsive and to be to do what you would like to do instead. So you have not kind of damaged your child forever or anything like that. And it is repairable. So repair is what we talk about in attachment all the time. So the important part is not being a perfect parent. It's doing the best you can with the information that you have in the moment, learning from it, and then moving forward from there. It's not about being perfect. There is no such thing. So your little one just needs you to be like, I'm a human being, I screwed up, and I'm going to try to make it better. And every interaction that you have that's positive is adding to their resilience. Okay, so training young babies to, sleep training, training young babies to fall asleep on their own. It assumes that falling asleep on their own is like a lifelong skill. It's not, definitely not for a baby. Typically left to cry without being comforted, which is again a problematic because it's not meeting their emotional needs, and it's really disregarding that they have emotional needs. Some people will say gentle sleep training, but the definition is typically about leaving babies to cry alone without comfort for whatever amount of time. So cry it out is for the whole night. Other methods could be for shorter periods of time, going in and leaving. So sometimes it's for gradual increasing periods of time or until they fall asleep. Self-soothing. So parents are usually told, you need to sleep train your baby so that they learn to self-soothe. Self-soothe is a lifelong, or they're told, is a lifelong, very important skill. And parents kind of get almost like fearful that if they don't sleep train, and let me know if that was your experience, if they don't sleep train and if they don't cry it out, then their baby will be harmed in some way by not getting good sleep or by not learning an important skill or something like that. But that does not line up with what we now know about infants and their development. It's misunderstood to express self-regulation. Self-regulation is one's ability to calm themselves down for a very high stress state, very upset, which is a very, very important skill, but it's something that develops over time. And actually the foundation of that skill or ability is having a really, having a secure attachment, which I'll mention in a bit, and which starts developing, the foundation for it starts developing over the first year, and it's an evolving thing. And it actually doesn't complete development until young adulthood, like mid-20s, but there are milestones along the way that are really important. And self-soothing is actually a very widely misunderstood term. It was originally coined by someone named Dr. Thomas Andrus in the 70s. He observed that some babies, when they went to sleep overnight and they woke up after each sleep cycles, which everybody does, babies and adults, he noticed that some babies wouldn't cry out, they would just return back to sleep. And he called this self-soothing, or not asking for help. So what happens is, I don't know how, but this is where we are right now. People think you're teaching them self-soothing, but you cannot teach self-soothing by leaving them to cry. It contradicts with each other. So babies are not capable of self-regulation, which is calming themselves down from a distressed state. They are capable of falling asleep from a calm, relaxed state on their own. They don't need to be taught. They just need opportunities. But some babies are better at this and some babies are worse at this and need more support or less support. Every baby is different. But babies can adjust to their caregivers' responses. So evolutionarily, we're born to kind of survive, and we're going to adjust to our environment and make the best thing that we can with our environment. So babies will learn to adjust to expectations, which is something that I do teach. So it's not about just doing what your baby wants at all times, because you matter and your needs matter too. But it is about supporting them with empathy and in an age and stage appropriate way. So one of there is a ton of research supporting this, that one of the best predictors of how well kids turn out is that their parents help them feel safe. So physically safe, seen, so understanding their internal world, soothed, so soothing them when they're upset, and secure. So being safe, seen, and soothed results in feeling secure. So this also, you might have heard it being referred to as secure attachment. So just knowing that If they have a need, there will be somebody who will be there for them. If you want to learn more about this, there's a wonderful, wonderful book called The Power of Showing Up, where they explain it really well without the kind of the technical scientific terms. Okay, and of course, there is also an approach that you can take, which is waiting it out. So sometimes parents learn about cry it out, learn about sleep training, learn about self-soothing, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait till my baby's sleep improves on its own, which is also completely fine as long as you're making that choice kind of intentionally and you feel that's what's best for you. And what it means really is just waiting rather than doing anything to support them to get their best sleep. They do sometimes grow out of sleep challenges. How fast, it really depends on what the challenge is and what caused it. The main downside of waiting it out is that you might be, first of all, struggling through horrible sleep when there was something very simple that you could have done to get more sleep. And I cover all of those. Usually it's a few very small things that really make a big difference. But the other more important, I mean, it's important for you to be rested, but maybe you're the kind of person who is okay with going on less sleep as long as you know there is an end in sight. But the other, more, I think, important risk factor is underlying health issues might be overlooked. So sleep is more disrupted if there is something bothering your baby. And if you're just being like, okay, babies just don't sleep forever, you might be missing what it is that's bothering them. So my course also helps you to understand what it is that's waking them so that you can get to the root cause and get their best sleep as soon as possible. And wait it out is all based on baby's lead without consideration for parents' needs. And I mentioned that. Okay. So I'm getting really excited here and going a little bit over, but I'll quickly go through a few more pieces and then get to your questions. So sleep without sleep training, that's the approach that I take because I genuinely think that your baby's needs are extremely important and your needs are extremely important because it's a relationship, it's an interaction. And when you're well and when you're feeling good, you're going to be a better parent to your child. That's absolutely true. And it's going to be easier to meet their needs and be empathetic. But you also need your needs to be met in order to be empathetic and compassionate to your baby. I don't think we need to choose one or the other. I find with sleep training, we're really focused on the parents' needs. With Wait It Out, we're really focused on the baby's needs. My approach is to treat both as equally important. And your partner's needs. We want you and your partner to have a good relationship too. Your family relationships are very important and and it's already a really hard time in the first year with baby. I don't think it needs to be complicated by just things that could be resolved really quickly. So it's all based on biologically normal infant sleep and what we know right now, not just about sleep, but about your baby and family in general. Stems from an understanding that babies are born knowing how to sleep. I say it a lot. It's a biological function, just like eating and pooping, and focusing on baby's underlying needs and accommodating accordingly. When it's a need, there's a difference between needs and wants. Okay. So you might have seen these options. I won't go into too much detail. We do have a blog post if you want to read more about each of these. But extinction is the cry it out, just leaving the room for the whole night. Gradual extinction is coming in at intervals. Chair method is, it's marketed and pick up, put down, and the sleep wave. No, sorry, chair method and pick up, put down. It's kind of marketed as like a gentle approach. But the problem is that you're asked to follow certain rules, and there is usually you get reprimanded if you don't follow the rules because they don't feel right. So basically, if it doesn't feel right, you don't have to do it. And the sleep wave is just a very structured, I believe, chair method or pick up, put down. But basically, they all involve leaving your baby to cry for a certain amount of time. And also not comforting them the way you feel you need to comfort them, but comforting them the way the method said. I'll give you an overview of the main differences shortly. But I just want to, again, I mentioned these already. but there are some risks associated with sleep training that I've personally seen just in clients that are returning after trying sleep training, and also just based on what, again, is known about your whole baby versus just their sleep. So just like any other method, including my method and anything else that you ever choose, it might not work. In terms of the evidence that's currently available, sleep training methods do not work for 20%, at least 20% of babies, no matter the method that you choose, which is another reason why I really like my approach, is because we figure out what is it that's causing the sleep disruption. No two babies are alike. Sleep training tends to be very structured and very just assumptive about that all babies and families and babies are alike, but it's just not how it is. If you make a choice that just feels really bad, if you use a method that doesn't feel good to you, you're more likely to experience guilt, shame, and regret. So if I've mentioned the method and you're trying it and you're feeling good about it, you're listening to your instincts, it's working for you, that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about using sleep training and pushing through in spite of you just feeling in all of your body, throughout your body, just feeling like you don't want to do this and it's just not working for you. In that case, please stop. That's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because it's the wrong approach for you and your baby. Trust your judgment. The relationship might be injured if baby is left to cry without being responded to. Or with the chair method, for example, they're crying and you're sitting right there, but kind of not responding to them the way you feel you need to respond them. And it can be really confusing to them why you're suddenly not responding to them when they're upset, because during the day maybe you did respond to them, which is why I don't necessarily recommend gentle methods. They can be kind of deceiving in many ways. There could be a trauma response if you are putting yourself in a situation where you've lost control because you're following what you're being told to do. And at the same time, you feel like you need to go to your baby and do it differently and go comfort them. Together, it can be kind of a traumatic to think back about it. And then breastfeeding success may be compromised. I can't tell you how many times I've heard from many lactation consultants who get clients at around 3 months who told them that they've used a sleep training or sleep support method where they basically prematurely night weaned and lost their supply. So my course also incorporates, specifically for breastfeeding parents, knowledge and the appreciation of the fact that feeding needs and sleep, they go together. Okay, so you're like, but what are we doing if none of those things work? So my method comes up with is a combination of science, connection, and intuition. There is no crying involved on your part or your baby's part. And very quickly, the way it works is we figure out your sleeping environment. I help you set realistic expectations so you can go, oh, my baby and me are actually normal, so that your brain space and your emotional space can be focused on enjoying your baby instead of trying to think that you're failing or something is wrong with them because their sleep is not a certain very unrealistic way, because it's just not based on biology and you actually have a normal baby after all. Identifying what is it that's waking your baby so that we can, once we sort that out, sleep comes, because that thing is not waking them anymore. And more importantly, confidence and clarity. So I can tell you for myself personally with my second baby, it's been a completely different experience. I've had very little anxiety. I've had difficult moments, of course. I still had a new baby, but overall with his sleep, it just feels easy. It just happens. I'm not freaking out if the nap didn't happen where or when I wanted it to. I'm not dreading nighttime. I had so much dread with my first one about when nighttime was coming. I was almost in tears almost every night, just feeling like complete failure because I was doing things and like, let me know if I'm the only one who felt this way, but I think some of you might have felt this way too. It was just feeling like stressful all the time. So yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. So I did promise you for coming here more sleep. So there are a few things that you can do right now after you turn off this webinar to get more sleep if you are feeling exhausted and tired, and just what you need right now is just a little sleep. If you're that exhausted, please choose one of these things. It does not have to be all of them. One of those things that you feel comfortable with and you can do safely. Tell me in the comments right now which one thing you will try today. So one might be asking your partner to take over in the morning, or maybe you're already doing one of them or more of them, so you can sleep in after a difficult night. Maybe there is family or friends that can come over, or even a hired doula because you're just really, really struggling. Because we need to get sleep first so that we can make decisions with kind of clarity and connection with our babies. It's kind of like putting a mask on your face if when you're flying and there's some turbulence. I don't know if you've heard this before, but you should be putting a mask on your face first, then on somebody else who you need to help. Because if you pass out, you can't help them. Shared overnight responsibility with partner, maybe taking shifts, responding to baby if you know that don't need to feed. Maybe your partner can take the next wake. Maybe your partner has a really demanding job and that's not possible during the weekdays, but maybe on weekends it can be your time to catch up. Considering safely co-sleeping or bed sharing. Going to bed with the baby for the night, even if it's 7 p.m., can make a huge difference. With my first baby, I eventually just ended up going to sleep every night at 7 p.m. and I had a lot of really difficult feelings about it, thinking it's going to last forever. But really what I needed in that moment was sleep. And this is a really quick, easy, safe way to get sleep. And what I mean with baby is when baby is going to sleep. So it's okay if they're in their own, like in the bassinet or crib. And of course, resting or napping during nap time. Tell me in the comments, which one will you try? Oh, so Samantha's partner wakes up with the baby on weekends. Today, my partner took the baby at 6 a.m. Yes. Going to bed with baby. Co-sleeping with twins. Yeah. Oh, try to go to bed with baby, can't fall asleep even though I'm tired. Sometimes if you're really wound up, it can be hard to fall asleep, and especially if you tell yourself, I need to sleep right now. So rather than telling yourself, I have to fall asleep, focus on resting, just calming your body and relaxing and taking it as downtime, and sleep will come. But of course, I have a whole course about getting sleep, so. Okay. And this is a quick overview, and then we'll open for questions. You're welcome to already start putting your questions in the chat. I went a little bit over because I got really excited to share everything with you. Hope you don't mind. But let us know in the chat if you have any questions about anything I spoke about today, and I'll quickly just do an overview. So the differences between sleep training and sleep training based on definition that they shared, which is following rigid rules and plans and methods, and leaving babies to cry, and teaching sleep. So the main differences are my approach is based on biologically normal infant sleep versus on cultural expectations, which is more what sleep training tends to be based on. Understanding that sleep is developmental, like talking and walking. Yes, we can do things to encourage our babies to sleep at their best. And at the same time, we understand that, you know, a 4-month-old goes through regression, or if they're in pain because they're teething, they probably need some help for their teething. Encouraging you to trust your intuition in the moment. So you're always feeling confident and doing what you feel is right for you and your baby. We will never ask you to leave your baby to cry alone. If they do cry, we encourage you to always comfort them and support them, and we provide information to help you understand what they're even trying to tell you. Sometimes it can be hard in the fog of sleep deprivation. Personalized, unique to your baby and family. Every baby and family is different. Understanding the unique sleep patterns of breastfed babies. The other downside of sleep training methods is many of them are based on patterns of formula feeding babies, which can be different. They don't necessarily sleep better, but the expectations of them are a little bit different often, which we do address bottle feeding in the course. but just breastfeeding babies have different patterns, and focuses on healthy attachments. I prioritize your relationships. I prioritize both your well-being and your baby's well-being. Join us on Talking Sleep on Instagram and Facebook. We constantly put out new content. Join Baby Sleep Essentials now if you need help. Our next workshop is on October 5th. Or if you're not sure what to do next, DM us on Instagram or email us at hello@talkingsleep.com. And if you're still here and you want to share with me something that you are taking away from this webinar, taking with you, doing differently, thinking about, let me know. I always appreciate any thoughts or feedback that you have. It helps me kind of do an even better job next time for you. All right. If you, and then if you have any feedback on how it could be improved next time, we'd really appreciate it.